Hey, how many Beatles records do you own?
Oh, wow. Are you talking about the original vinyl records or just recordings in general? Because, I mean, I've got boxes and boxes of Beatles, vinyl records, cassettes,
No
CDs.
reel-to-reels or 8-track tapes.
No, that was a little before my time.
Well, when I was a kid, I earned money by having a newspaper route. And so I had money to buy Beatles records. Remember those days when you had to lay out cash to buy music?
I do. It was an event.
It was. And that memory, that whole act of committing your own money and energy to physically get music,
Yeah,
that's really what we're digging into today. It's the big paradox of the streaming age.
absolutely.
We can summon the entire Beatles discography with, a single voice command, but millions of people are still choosing this very deliberate path. They're cleaning the wax, dropping the needle.
And committing to 20 minutes of sound. It's the friction that matters, isn't it? I mean, vinyl essentially died by 1990.
Oh, it was gone.
But for almost 2 decades now, sales have just mushroomed. And it's not because it's the most efficient way to hear music streaming is unbeatable there. It's because it's the most human way.
The Beatles, undeniably, are the eternal engines of this whole comeback. I'd argue they're probably the #1 reason the vinyl industry survives and thrives today.
I think you're right. You can walk into any record store right now, and I guarantee you'll see Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper in the top 10. They're permanent fixtures.
They're the gateway drug for new collectors.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how sophisticated the demand has become. It's this high-value completionist mindset. And the record companies, they know exactly how to feed that.
Right, with all the special editions, we're talking about half-speed remasters, which claim to have better groove detail.
And the colored vinyl variants, which look amazing, but, often sound a little worse.
And of course, the heavy 180-gram pressings, the ones that feel so substantial in your hands.
It might seem like just a cash grab, and part of it is, but you have to remember the music was fundamentally designed as a physical experience.
That's a great point. The record sleeve wasn't just packaging, it was the whole context.
The tactile thrill of holding that huge 12-inch object, you just can't replicate that with a tiny 50 by 50 pixel thumbnail on your phone.
You completely lose the sense of scale.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the White Album. The original pressing was stark white. It was numbered. It had that subtle embossed cover.
And inside, you got the 4 individual portraits plus that huge poster. It was interactive art.
Or Sgt. Pepper with its cutouts.
Yeah.
People would literally take scissors to the package to get those mustaches and badges. You just don't get that level of physical engagement from download.
No way.
And people are willing to pay for it. That Abbey Road Anniversary Edition Deluxe set, it's a triple vinyl LP, 40 tracks, with the new stereo mix by Giles Martin. It costs about $84.
Wow. That isn't casual listening. That is a deep, deep commitment to owning the physical artifact.
So to really get why vinyl came back, you have to understand where it came from. The history of recorded music is just littered with formats that were supposed to be the next big thing.
It's what you could call the 75-year format graveyard. So many technologies just tossed aside.
And that graveyard goes back almost 150 years. Thomas Edison, he started it all with tinfoil and wax, but those early recordings weren't vinyl. They used these brittle resins and shellac.
Which made the records incredibly heavy and fragile. You drop one and it shatters.
Right. So the big change came in 1948. There was a wartime crunch, and shellac, this beetle-based resin they used, was suddenly hard to get.
And that shortage basically forced the industry to perfect and adopt vinyl. This lighter, more flexible wax is what carried masterpieces like Sgt. Pepper out into the world.
And it led to the 3 speeds. The 78 RPM was the original standard, but it spun so fast you only got about 3 minutes of music per side.
Which is fine for a single, but not an album. So in 1948, they also introduced the 33 1/3 RPM record, the long play, or LP.
Slowing it down.
Exactly. Slowing it down gave you a full 20 minutes on one side. That invention essentially created the album as we know it, as an art form.
Then you had the 45 RPM, which was made for the pop single market. It was way more durable than the old 78s, perfect for jukeboxes.
Then in the 60s and 70s, you started seeing these other formats try to take over. Reel-to-reel was the high-fidelity dream for audiophiles, but it was so clunky.
And the 8-track tape, the first way you could listen to the Beatles in your car.
A total game changer.
It was, but I remember my dad's car. He used to curse when the track loop changed. It would just fade out and fade back in right in the middle of Hey Jude.
Oh, that awful splice. You could hear it coming.
But the real near extinction event came with cassettes, and then, of course, the compact disc, the promise of perfect sound forever. By 1990, vinyl was commercially irrelevant.
Totally gone.
I remember working in a record store, right? What had happened? We got the first 15 CDs in stock. Thriller was one of them. And we also had these beautiful Beatles vinyl box sets, the red, white, and blue collections. We stacked them right by the door.
And they just sat there.
They just sat there. Everyone was rushing to the CD section, convinced that digital was the only future.
And for a while, it looked like it was. The industry bottomed out around 2006. They sold fewer than 1 million vinyl units in the whole country. That's a 99% drop from its peak.
A ghost format.
Truly a ghost format, kept alive only by indie record stores and DJs until 2008 when Record Store Day launched. That was the start.
It really was. But the modern buyer isn't just buying history, they're buying sound. And that brings us to the real heart of it, the great mono versus stereo debate.
Yes. Okay, so let's set the stage. Mono is a single unified beam of sound, everything. Vocals, drums, guitars, it's all coming from one point. A solid wall of noise.
Like a straight punch.
Exactly. Whereas stereo stretches the band across this wide horizon. You get a three-dimensional audio image. Guitar on the left, drums on the right, vocals in the middle.
So here's the crucial insight, the thing that drives so many collectors. Throughout the 1960s, the Beatles and George Martin considered mono to be the definitive format.
That's the key, because that's what people listened on. Cheap, single-speaker record players. AM radio. Mono was the standard.
So they would spend weeks, literally weeks, perfecting that mono mix. And the stereo mix.
The stereo mix was often just a side project, an afterthought. Sometimes it was finished hastily by junior engineers who weren't even in the main sessions.
Which leads to what collectors call the hole in the middle. It sounds awful on modern headphones.
Wait, so George Martin, the fifth Beatle, he didn't really care about the stereo mix. That seems like a huge missed opportunity.
From our perspective today, absolutely. But back then, to create that stereo separation, engineers would do something called hard panning.
Shoving all the instruments into one speaker and all the vocals into the other. It sounds so jarring and hollowed out today.
And you can hear these differences so clearly on the vinyl. Take She's Leaving Home from Sgt. Pepper. The mono mix is significantly faster and a little higher pitched.
And that was the intended speed, the one they approved.
Right. The stereo version is noticeably slower. Or the best example is Lucy in the Sky with Guymon's. The mono version has this incredible, trippy, swirling phasing effect on the vocals.
An effect that's almost completely gone in the stereo version. These are the sonic details that drive collectors to hunt down those original mono pressings.
But this quest for perfect sound isn't just an analog thing. Around 2014, Neil Young launched this digital revolution called Pono.
Right. His whole argument was that MP3s and early streaming stripped away something like 95% of the music's fidelity just to make the files smaller.
He felt the whole experience was being cheapened. So he introduced the Pono player, that yellow Toblerone-shaped device, built for what he called master quality files.
It was a fascinating idea, but it flopped by 2017. It was just too expensive. $400 for the player, then $25 for an album.
And it was too clunky for a world that was already completely married to the smartphone.
But here's the thing. In a strange way, he actually won the war, even though his device failed. Today, services like Apple Music and Tidal offer high-res lossless audio as a standard feature.
We have the high-quality digital sound he wanted, and it's delivered conveniently.
But it still lacks that physical ritual. Film composer Hans Zimmer said that music stays human precisely because of its flaws.
That's a powerful idea. In the digital world, every mistake can be fixed. Just punch in, correct the note, move on. The stakes are lower.
Which is exactly why so many producers are going back to analog tape.
Yeah.
They aren't looking for digital perfection, they're looking for the take.
The performance?
Yes, recording to tape is high stakes. If you mess up, you have to rewind and do it again. That pressure forces the artist to be completely present, and that energy gets captured.
So let's circle back. The big question, is vinyl technically better than a high-res digital file? I mean, we have to be honest about the crackles, the pops from Dust in the Grooves.
Right. Technically, a modern high-resolution digital file is cleaner. It's more accurate to the master tape.
But accuracy isn't everything?
Not at all. Vinyl offers warmth, and that warmth is actually a pleasant kind of harmonic distortion that the needle creates. It slightly compresses the sound and enhances the mid-range.
So guitars and voices just feel more alive.
More present, more personal. Which brings us to the real point. The resurgence isn't about technical perfection. It's about ownership. It's about permanence.
In a world where a streaming platform can delete an album overnight.
A vinyl record is a permanent piece of history you can hold in your hands. You own it. No one can take that music away from you.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. Every day we do something new there. Song reviews, album reviews, movie reviews, book reviews, documentaries, trivia, all things Beatles. Every day, 8 days a week. You can find us on the website, BeatlesRewind.com. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Podcasts, practically anywhere on the intertubes. The Beatles, all day, every day. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Farewell for now. Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind conducts its own symphony.
So think about this. If the digital era has finally given us 100% of the fidelity we could ever possibly want, is the enduring value of vinyl actually less about the sound and more about the commitment it demands? The choice to be fully present and uninterrupted for 20 minutes. That's what you're really paying for.